Hi, welcome to Cooking with Cleo. Today, Nathan is feeling sick and I refuse to get sick. Right, Cleo? We're not getting sick, are we? No, we aren't. So we are going to make the soup that cures all, hot and sour soup. So you might be thinking, Madison, what do you mean hot and sour soup cures everything? Well, I hate chicken noodle soup. I will only I'll only eat my mom's chicken noodle soup, and even then I only eat it when I'm sick. So Q 2017, I was on my internship for culinary school, and I got sicker than a dog, and I just needed soup. But I was so sick I couldn't make my own soup. So I ordered hot and sour soup from a Chinese restaurant, and the next day, no joke, I felt cured. So we're starting with a thing of ginger, any size ginger, whatever. We're just going for it. If you like ginger, ginger's supposed to be very healing, by the way. So if you like ginger, I would do a lot. I'm probably going to use the rest of this ginger. Well, maybe most of it. I'll probably save it like another inch because I was wanting to make a stir fry. Okay, now we're just going to clean out that grater and set the ginger aside, and we're going to get ready to cut our onion. I'm using about half an onion, but you know, you just do you. Everything in this soup is just so good for you. And, oops. And I'm excited to make it for you. What do you think, Cleo? Yeah, so the key when cutting your vegetables here is to make everything small enough that it can sit very comfortably on a spoon, because there's nothing worse in a soup than pieces of vegetable that don't sit on the spoon properly, and then they drip soup all over the place. It's not fun to eat. This is part of the reason I'm against chicken noodle soup. I really just don't like the soupiness. Not soupiness, it's soup. It's gonna be soupy, but you know what I mean. The fact that the soup can't be contained by a spoon. Maybe some people are into that, not me. What do you think, Cleo? Cleo likes soup too. She has a hard time eating it because she's still learning how to use a spoon, but she does pretty well. So yeah, we have our vegetables. Oops. So yeah, everything's gonna be nice and small. And now I am going to do half an onion, about 3 tablespoons of ginger, 3 stalks of celery, and then I have 4 medium-sized carrots, which will all go into our soup. So we're just gonna prep this, and then I will meet you. I'll continue talking after we prep everything. So yeah, just brunoise this. These are gonna go into our vegetable stock scrap bag. One thing that's really important is to always keep your area as clean as possible. So we are going to clean this up a little bit. Okay, so for the carrots, I'm going to be using this peeler. It does like a julienne. And if you don't have a peeler like this, you can do a normal julienne. As a reminder, this is what a normal julienne would look like. So you're gonna take your carrot, cut about 2 inches, okay? Since it's a soup, we do wanna make it a little bit smaller, but we can worry about that in a second. We're gonna cut about 1/8 of an inch slices like this. Oops, that was a bad one. When your vegetable starts to get wobbly, flip it and keep going. In culinary school, you'd have to flip it again and cut that off, but you're at home. You don't have to do that. Anyways, these are a little big though. So that's something for you to decide. And then you cut 1/8 of an inch again. And because we are making a soup and we want it to fit on our spoon, we will be doing, wow, great idea, adding a shoe to the soup. We'll do little tiny strips like that. But if you have this fun peeler, go ahead and grab it and watch what it does. It just does these beautiful little things for you, and then you can cut it down. Or if you want, which is probably what I'll do, I'll just start at the size I want. The only issue with this peeler is sometimes you're gonna get spots that it doesn't quite go through. And it gets harder to use the more you've whittled down the vegetable. So just something to keep in mind, but it does go pretty fast. All right, and then on the same cutting board, just for convenience, I have some spinach. This is not very traditional either, but the spinach needs to be used. So I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna horrify Chef Ross with my knife skills here and my I don't care attitude. So just very, very fine strips here. Because once again, we don't want it taking up a whole spoonful of just spinach. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and put that to the side. Okay, so we're gonna start by putting our pot onto our stovetop and turning up the heat to a medium heat. And then we're gonna add just a little bit of vegetable oil. Now, the base of most Asian foods, according to my Cuisines of Asia's professor, is ginger, garlic, and scallions. So we will start with those things. We are not gonna put the scallions in until the end, actually, I lied. So, but we'll let this heat up a little bit, and then we'll add our onions, ginger, and so we have our ginger in the bottom of this and onions on top of that, and we have some garlic. So we'll add the garlic and the ginger and onions in first, the garlic next, and then we're gonna sweat all of the vegetables. We're gonna sweat them till the onions are translucent. While we're waiting for our pan to heat up, go ahead and grab your other ingredients. So we're gonna need soy sauce, rice vinegar, sriracha, black pepper. We're gonna need a cornstarch slurry and some eggs. 1/4 cup of soy sauce, 1/4 cup of rice vinegar. Our oil's ready, so let's go ahead and throw those onions in. Now, the key here is we just want to sweat it. We don't really want any caramelization, so make sure to bring the temperature down if you see any caramelization or browning. We need 3 tablespoons of sriracha for this recipe, which is about 1/4 cup. You can go ahead and use an actual tablespoon measure. I'm going to just eyeball it because you know me. So I have about 1/4 cup of sriracha there. If you don't want it as spicy, go ahead and choose something milder. Just remember, we are going to be having a lot of beef stock in here, so it's, you know, 3 tablespoons for 6 cups is not that spicy. But you do what you want. You wing it. Do your thing. All right. Now, add some garlic. So you can see our onions are basically sweated. They're almost translucent. Go ahead and add your other vegetables. You can make it up, you know, if you don't have carrots or celery, you can kind of wing it there. Go ahead and add your carrots. And we'll give those a little bit of a sweat. The majority of the carrots cooking will be done when the beef stock is simmering with the rest of the stuff. All right, I think we are ready to add our beef stock. I've just used Better Than Bouillon beef broth. And if you want to know how to make your own stock, you will need beef bones for it, which can be hard to come by unless you live near a butcher. So, you know, do what makes you happy. If that works for you, great. If not, just do what I'm doing. Now that we've added our beef stock in, we are going to go ahead and add our vinegar soy sauce sriracha blend and mix that in as well. And now we're going to let this simmer for a bit. We're going to bring it up to a simmer, so you might want to turn up your heat if you turned it down. We'll bring it up to a simmer, and then once it's simmering, let it simmer for about 20 minutes. You could do less time if you're in a pinch, but I think the flavor gets more developed around 20 minutes. So while our soup is coming to a simmer, we are going to cut up the tofu so we have everything ready for when we are finally finished here. I really like extra firm tofu. Okay, tofu comes in a lot of liquid, so to make cutting a little bit easier, we are going to gently pat the tofu to just dry it out just a touch, not too much. Some recipes you'll want to like kind of press the juices out, but this one we don't need to so much. Okay, now we're going to cut it into a small to medium dice. I'm kind of getting closer to a medium here. We're going to do about half the block. We've got our little diced up tofu bits. And then I've also mise en placed our eggs. This is to help thicken the soup up later. And we've got a cornstarch slurry also used to thicken the soup. So yeah, you can omit the egg if you want. I know some people don't love it, but I think it's pretty good. Let's look back at our soup. It looks like it's boiling. We don't really want it to boil for too long, so let's bring it down to a simmer. We want just a little bit of bubbling throughout. And now we're ready to add our cornstarch. So go ahead and add that. Stir that in, and it'll start thickening up. When the soup starts thickening, then we will decrease our heat a little bit more and add our eggs in and stir until they're nicely incorporated. So we can kind of see that the soup is thickening up a little bit. That's great. It might take a while for it to get a little bit thicker, so we can give it a few minutes, or if you're in a rush, you can go ahead and add the egg now. All right, so we have given the soup some time to simmer, and we're gonna go ahead and add the eggs. The way you're gonna add the eggs is we're gonna start stirring, and we're gonna slowly pour the eggs in as we stir. This will cook the eggs and bring it into strings. You see how these strings are developing? That's exactly what we want. Just gently stirring this. Fantastic. And this is how you would make egg drop soup too, just minus all the chunks of vegetable. And now we're finishing it off with some of our spinach. And once again, not traditional. You can omit the spinach, you could add the spinach. You could put freaking kale in there if you want. Just do whatever you want and make it delicious. So we're gonna go ahead and let that cook in. And then we'll add the tofu, and we'll allow this to continue heating up till the tofu is heated through. So you can test a piece to find out, or you can just guess. I usually just guess. Usually by the time I get everything set up for dinner, the tofu is definitely cooked through. So yeah, but you don't want it to like fall apart, so just be wary of that. And that's all, folks. Feel better soon.